Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're diving into a fascinating and honestly kind of frustrating hidden world right beneath our feet. If you live in Trussville, Alabama, you might just think your plumbing is, a standard network of pipes and valves. But actually, your home is facing some incredibly unique, localized environmental challenges. We're going to pull data and insights straight from Fortress Plumbing Birmingham to break down exactly what's attacking your pipes and, most importantly, how we're going to stop it.
So picture this. Why is the literal ground you walk on waging a silent war against your house? It's crazy to think about, but there is this invisible battle happening right beneath your foundation, 24/7. We always worry about what we're washing down the drains, right? But the real threat to trustful homes, it actually starts from the outside in. And that ground-level warfare leads straight to what plumbers call the dreaded slab leak. The main culprit here? It's the soil itself. See, Trussville is built right on top of this red clay soil, and this earth literally breathes with our humid, subtropical climate. When we get heavy rain, that clay soaks it up like a giant sponge and expands. But then, during a dry spell or a drought, it completely contracts. This constant swelling and shrinking, it physically shifts your home's foundation. Over time, that relentless back-and-forth movement puts massive stress on the rigid pipes stuck right inside your concrete slab. Eventually, they just crack and leak.
But here's the thing. These challenges aren't exactly a one-size-fits-all across town. It really depends heavily on the era your house was built in. Like, if you live in one of those gorgeous historic homes near downtown, built before 1960, you're probably dealing with original galvanized steel pipes. Those guys are notorious for corroding from the inside out. They totally choke off your water pressure and leave you with rusty water. Gross, right? On the flip side, if you're in a newer build over by Deerfoot Parkway, you've likely got modern PEX or CPVC lines. These handle the climate way better. However, the source notes that if builders cut corners during installation, you're still super vulnerable to that climate stress and early failure.
Now, speaking of local mysteries, imagine this scenario. You turn on your faucet, and out of nowhere, the whole room smells exactly like rotten eggs. Seriously, there's no way to ignore that. It's a huge frustration for homeowners around here, and if you've been through it, you know the instant panic it causes. But what in the world is actually happening? Well, here's the crucial takeaway. This isn't just bad water. It's actually an active biological process happening right inside your systems. That nasty sulfur smell, that's hydrogen sulfide gas. It gets produced by naturally occurring bacteria that are just feasting on decaying organic matter deep down in the local water table. And here's where it gets really fascinating. That smell usually gets a whole lot worse when you run the hot water, right? Why? Because your home's water heater tank acts like the perfect, warm, cozy little incubator for this bacteria to just thrive and multiply.
And speaking of daily headaches, have you ever jumped into the shower at, let's say, 7 a.m., right when the whole family is getting ready for the day, and the water pressure just vanishes into this sad, pathetic little trickle? Yeah, you are definitely not alone, and I promise it's not just in your head.
It's honestly a perfect storm of causes and effects. The symptom we all feel is that super annoying peak hour pressure drop. But the cause? Well, when everyone in your neighborhood turns on their showers and dishwashers at the exact same time, it puts a massive strain on the local water mains. Take that intense neighborhood demand, mix it with sediment buildup or those old corroded galvanized pipes inside your own house, and boom, your flow is completely choked off. But good news, there are absolutely direct solutions for this. A professional can easily adjust your pressure regulator, install a pressure tank to keep things flowing smoothly, or do some targeted repiping to finally get your pressure back to normal. All right, moving over to the Cahaba Valley area, we've got a completely different invisible threat. Look, we all absolutely love the gorgeous mature trees in Trussville. But beneath the surface? They're basically stealthy enemies going after your underground sewer lines. Tree roots are endlessly searching for moisture. If there's even a microscopic crack or tiny joint in your sewer pipes, they will find it and they'll force their way right inside. Once they're in, they expand, snag all kinds of waste, and create these absolute monster blockages that can send raw sewage backing up directly into your house. Definitely not something you want to deal with.
And, if the expanding soil and invasive tree roots weren't enough to stress you out, we really have to talk about the water itself. Jefferson County is pretty infamous for its hard water. This is an invisible mineral threat, mostly calcium and magnesium, that is just constantly lurking in the municipal supply. Day after day, it's leaving behind these stubborn deposits that completely clog up your faucet aerators, wreck the rubber seals in your valves, and literally destroy your major appliances from the inside out. Because of these brutal hard water conditions, your typical water heater tank is ticking on a very strict biological clock.
According to the data, 8 to 12 years is basically the absolute maximum lifespan before total failure around here. Those hard water minerals just completely coat the heating elements, which forces the unit to work harder and harder and harder until it finally just gives out. And yeah, that usually means flooding your utility room in the process.
But there is a brilliant solution to this, and it actually centers around a very specific magic number, 86. Upgrading to a tankless water heater is an incredibly smart move for Trussville homes, but the data shows they're really only optimal for households that use less than 86 gallons of hot water a day. They save a ton of space and give you literally endless hot water. But, and this is a massive but here, you still absolutely have to manage that mineral buildup. You'll need a water softener or at least an annual descaling. Otherwise, that hard water will wreck the tankless heat exchanger just as fast as a traditional tank.
Okay, so diagnosing all these crazy problems is one thing, right? But preventing them? That's where we really win. Trussville gets these sudden super hard freezes that can literally destroy unprotected pipes in a matter of hours. So, to survive winter, you need a quick checklist. First up, disconnect and completely drain all your outdoor hoses. Second, go inside and shut off the interior valves that supply your outdoor faucets. Third, head back outside and open up those exterior spigots to drain whatever water is left. And finally, pop on some of those foam faucet covers and heavily insulate any exposed pipes hanging out in your crawl spaces.
Ultimately, being a homeowner really just comes down to a super simple choice. On one hand, you can experience the midnight panic. You know, waking up at 2 a.m. to a totally flooded basement, burst pipes, or a backed up sewer line. Total nightmare. Or, on the other hand, you can choose quiet prevention. That just means scheduling your routine maintenance. Have your water heater flushed to get rid of those hard water minerals, and get your drains cleaned regularly. I'm telling you, the absolute peace of mind you get from quiet prevention, it is 100% immeasurable.
So, armed with the knowledge of all these highly specific, hyper-local threats, the expanding clay, the brutal hard water, the tree root invasions, how do we actually conquer these disasters with total confidence? Well, the source material points us directly to a highly specialized local solution. The team over at Fortress Plumbing Birmingham.
What I absolutely love about these guys is how incredibly straightforward their process is. It's totally designed to take all the stress right off your shoulders. Step 1 is contact and dispatch. They actually prioritize emergencies and call you ahead of time, so you're never just sitting around wondering when help is coming. Step 2 is diagnosis and approval. They don't just guess, they find the actual root cause and hand you a clear upfront estimate before they even pick up a wrench. And step 3? Repair and verification. They fix it using professional-grade parts, totally clean up the workspace, and then test everything right in front of you to prove it's actually working perfectly. But what really sets them apart from just any average contractor? Well, it's their rapid 24/7 emergency response. Because, let's face it, a burst pipe doesn't care if it's Thanksgiving Day. It's also their fully stocked trucks, which means they can usually knock out the fix in a single visit without having to run back to the hardware store for parts. Plus, there's that upfront, transparent pricing, so absolutely no crazy surprise bills. And maybe most importantly, they rely on licensed master plumbers who actually understand Trussville's very specific soil and water challenges. They just flat out refuse to use cheap parts or do quick Band-Aid fixes. There's this one quote from their service philosophy that I absolutely love, and it says, "We diagnose the actual problem, not just symptoms. You make informed decisions based on complete information, not pressure tactics." That is just so crucial. When you're in the middle of a plumbing emergency, you are completely vulnerable. A truly great service provider empowers you through education. They let you choose the right fix that fits your budget instead of just exploiting your panic to upsell you on a bunch of stuff you don't even need. So that brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. Take a second and look around your home right now. Are you noticing a slightly slow drain? Maybe a faint sulfur smell in the guest bathroom, or just a tiny drop in your water pressure? Are you just kind of waiting for one of these hidden threats in the soil or the water to finally snap and break your plumbing system? Listen, don't wait for that midnight panic. Take control of your property's health today. Use the knowledge we've unpacked here and stay one step ahead of the unseen enemies right beneath your feet. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep learning.